It's been 15 years since the dramatic biography of Essington Lewis left Newcastle. The story of the man who converted BHP into one of the world's great steelmakers has finished its nationwide tour. The original director and designer and 5 of that cast are back home to perform the Australian classic. Playing the part of Essington Lewis is Vic Rooney, with definite ideas on how to portray such a forceful character.
With a great deal of physical and vocal energy, that's the first thing, because I'm sure that, the play demands that, and I think the bloke himself was a tremendous force in Australia.
And for the Hunter Valley Theatre Company, a double celebration. The production also coincides with its 21st birthday. The play starts on Friday at the Civic Theatre, the season finishing on the 1st of February.
From a fledgling freight line 14 years ago, Impulse Airlines has grown to be the 3rd largest regional operator in Australia. Paralleling that growth in the aviation industry has been Newcastle Airport, recently selected as the construction site for the RAF's lead-in fighters. Today, a further milestone: the official opening of a maintenance centre which will service Impulse Airlines' 10 Beech 1900 aircraft, a fleet worth $58 million. The facility, officially opened today by State Treasurer Michael Egan, cost $375,000 and will employ 21 engineers. But Impulse has now decided to move its entire operation, including administration and staff training, from Sydney Airport to Williamtown. That means a further investment of $1 million and a further 33 jobs.
When you look at comparable size cities, such as Canberra, that have jet services and regular flights going out of there, Newcastle has been very much underserviced, and we see that will grow. We see that the size of the aircraft will grow, and we think that the people of both Newcastle and the Hunter will come to recognise Newcastle Airport as the place to go for travel rather than Sydney.
For the moment, Mr McGowan says the airline will concentrate on frequency of services, but in the future, larger jet aircraft being developed by Beech might be on a shopping list. Jim Sullivan, NBN News.
Despite problems with jellyfish and chilly water conditions, Susie swam into Nobby's Beach 1.5 hours ahead of schedule.
I just felt really good in the water, and so I just concentrated on my stroke, and yeah, I had a great crew which helped as well.
After battling strong currents coming out of Darling Harbour 3 days ago, Susie powered on to complete the record-breaking swim in 30 hours, just in time to launch Newcastle's bicentennial celebrations. Nobby's Beach was buzzing with activity, events ranging from boat racing to digging for lost treasure.
It's a great day for the kids, and they learn more about the history of the country, and that's good for everyone.
While some had other reasons to celebrate.
It's my birthday today, I turned 7.
Today will also become an annual milestone for this group. 95 people sworn in as Australian citizens.
I'm very happy today. It's really a very important event for me and for my family.
I think all people in the Lower Hunter and Novocastrians should really enjoy today and be proud of it, because, you know, we've achieved an enormous lot.
The pride seemed contagious.
It just really did make me proud to be Australian and know that other Australians are there cheering for you.
Celebrations will continue into the night with an Australia Live concert followed by a fireworks display on the harbour foreshore. Vanessa Spark, NBN News. This 10-metre mural is more than a colourful piece of artwork. It represents the bringing together of people in Lake Macquarie.
And what we tried this year is to get the soft side of immigration, where people can say, hey, it's good working alongside them, and it's all really, everything's working out well.
Each area of the lake is depicted, a winding serpent tying the different images together. Meanwhile, painting on smaller canvases continued in the park as faces were transformed into a variety of creatures. It's seen as an opportunity to lift the profile of Aboriginal people.
Let's work for reconciliation, and let's try and put that behind us, not forget about it, but learn from the past so that we can aim for the future.
While most of the capacity crowd was at Sydney's Olympic Park to watch King Carl Lewis race on the track, a trio of Northwest performers was doing well in the field. National men's champion Andrew Curry was unlucky in the javelin, with long-time rival New Zealand's Gavin Lovegrove beating the Australian athlete with the last throw. Curry hurled an impressive 80.80 metres, only to watch Lovegrove better it in the final round by just 1.28 metres. Girlfriend and former Northwest-based Olympic star Louise McPaul battled a chronic back injury to compete. She placed third behind Queensland Joanna Stone and France's Bina Ramesh with a throw of 57.28 metres.
It was back to normal at Belmont Golf Club this afternoon, the women's competition in full swing, while a number of youngsters were trying to emulate the golf of the last 4 days. The leaderboard illustrates the success of the championships. Jeff Ogilvy's 14 under 274 smashed the tournament record by 2 shots.
That can win any amateur tournament at least, not only that, a professional tournament as well. With the cut we had at 70 plus ties, 4 over to make the cut would be the same as a professional tournament.
The tournament has launched many professional careers. There may be more just around the corner. At 19, Victorian Jeff Ogilvy is one of the brightest young prospects in Australian golf. His short game is one of the best in the business, while his drives average 300 metres. The tournament jacket his, Ogilvy was naturally full of praise yesterday, but his comments that the tournament is one of the best amateur championships in the world were mirrored by almost the entire field.
Well, all the players and all the winners all congratulated the golf club and said that it was the best tournament they played in here and around the world.
Ogilvy's tournament record won't be the only memory of the 1997 International. The 2 other highlights, Englishman Sean Webster's course record equalling 63 on day 2, and of course that hole-in-one from Sydney amateur Bryce McDonald on the 134-metre par 3 12th.
It was superb. Not very often you see many hole-in-ones on TV, but it was absolute great.
Jonathan Upton, NBN News. Tom Wisman was at the Newcastle citizenship ceremony on Australia Day, but ironically, his days in the country are numbered. The Falcons coach was always going to finish with the club at the end of this season and move to Japan, but has received a lucrative offer to make the trip to Asia sooner.
I'm going to be going up on Thursday to Korea in a capacity of a consultant with a team there for a couple of months, and then I'll be heading up to Japan later in the year.
After 6 years with Newcastle, it's a blow for the NBL up-and-comers. Wisman has been instrumental in the Falcons becoming competitive in the National League. He leaves the side as it prepares for perhaps its best season on record.
I think we have a very good, sound nucleus of exciting young talent that will be here hopefully for the long term, that will bring a championship to the city.
The former NBL Coach of the Year isn't severing all ties with the club. He'll be Director of Playing Personnel, and on his recommendation, Sean Dennis takes over as coach.
I can't wait. You know, it's a dream come true for me. Moved to Newcastle in 1986 and always hoped at the end of my playing career I could get into coaching.
Dennis has been the Falcons' assistant coach for 10 years, developing individual skills in one-on-one training with the players. He knows Newcastle's style, and the team has given him its full support.
Sean Dennis is a great guy, and he's a great coach too. He's paid his dues.
And on the recruitment front, the Falcons have promised their second import player will be announced by next week. It's a 2-horse race for David Van Dyke's replacement. While former Illawarra Hawk Andre Lafleur was the early favourite, late mail suggests the Melbourne Tigers' David Simmons may get the photo finish. Jonathan Upton, NBN News.
"24-year-old Tari cyclist Nick Gates had a joyous year, tinged with a touch of sadness. Nick was 5th in the Mount Buller International in Victoria and 8th in the Tour of Tasmania. A short trip to Malaysia paid dividends, winning the King of the Mountain. Home again, Nick won the Wyong 3-day tour, followed by a stunning victory in the Australian Road Racing Championship. However, this wasn't good enough to give him a ticket to the Atlanta Games. He made up for this with a second in the Hornsby to Swansea International and a magnificent win in the Commonwealth Bank Cycle Classic, the first Australian to do so for many years. From Narrabri in the northwest, metallic silhouette pistol shooter David Dewsbury. His memorable year began with a gold medal at the state standing event, and he was the 4-gun champion. At the World Titles in South Africa, David won a silver medal in the field pistol, bronze in the big bore 4-gun aggregate, silver in the 2-team event, and 2 gold and a silver in graded events. His crowning glory was a world record and title in the open sight pistol shoot. David continued his success at the Nationals to cap off an amazing year. Finally tonight, swimmer Stephen Jewix, whose year began with a gold and silver medal performance at the state titles. In a medal blitz at the country championships, Stephen bagged 7 gold, 3 silver and 4 bronze. At the Australian titles from which the Olympic team was chosen, the Central Coast swimmer became the first male to win the 50, 100 and 200 metres backstroke at the one meet. Stephen made the Australian Olympic team. Although he failed to win a medal in his individual backstroke events, he teamed up with Rogers, Miller and Klim to grab bronze in the 4x100 medley relay.
Traders in the West End have spoken and Newcastle City Council has responded, last night voting to defer any decision on sex industry applications for 3 weeks. The moratorium has been criticised as a stalling tactic, some claiming council can do little to prevent the sex industry moving in if it meets planning guidelines. Traders say the state government's legislation on brothels can be turned around by council.
The situation is the council have the power to modify the guidelines. After all, this legislation was intended to be flexible.
A report canvassing all sex industry issues will be drawn up by a council over the next 3 weeks. The main point of issue will be the distance between brothels.
A number of issues could be raised, e.g. they could extend the limit for brothels to 500 metres from the existing 100 metres, or in fact they might even look at limiting the number of brothels in a particular area.
Council will consider pending brothel applications in late February.
The bandits burst into the Ampol service station on the corner of Floraville Road and the Pacific Highway at around 3 this morning. One wielding a knife, the other a chain. They demanded the attendant hand over money. The attendant was too afraid to turn his back to them. He was stabbed once in the chest and then hit across the back with the chain. The bandits fled empty-handed. The attendant is in a satisfactory condition at Belmont Hospital. Captured on a security camera, the men are described as being in their late teens to early 20s and of average height. One was wearing joggers, green shorts with white lettering and an olive-brown T-shirt. The other is possibly of Aborigine or Islander appearance, wearing black track pants with white stripes and a dark shirt. Meanwhile, police have released this sketch of a man who terrorised a couple in their Melville Road home at Broadmeadow on Sunday afternoon. Waving an iron bar, he smashed some furniture before fleeing with a small amount of cash. He's believed to be in his late teens to early 20s, of average height and thin build, a fair to olive complexion, with brown eyes and black hair pulled back in a ponytail. He was dressed in black jeans, a T-shirt and boots. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
It was a year to remember for Narrabri's Jason Stoltenberg. He became one of the top 20 tennis players in the world. From the Grand Slam Cup, Jason was undefeated as a member of the Australian Davis Cup team. In the United States, Jason reached the semi-finals of the Pinehurst Singles, a warm-up for a championship win on the US clay courts at Coral Springs. On to the world's greatest tournament at Wimbledon, where Jason reached the semi-finals. In Atlanta, he was Australia's Olympic tennis champion. Hockey's Matthew Smith had his international campaign interrupted by injury as a member of the Australian Olympic men's hockey team, the Kookaburras, defeats by the Dutch and Spaniards spoiled any dreams of gold. The Kookaburras came home with a bronze medal. Making an Australian Olympic squad is a gruelling process, but a sculler from the Tweed, Duncan Free, achieved the green and gold. At the Nationals in Sydney, Duncan was named Athlete of the Regatta, with gold in men's quad sculls and silver in the single scull. He booked his spot to Atlanta through a tough overseas campaign, a silver in the European Championships and gold at the Amsterdam International Regatta. At the Olympics, Duncan and his crew made the final in the quad, bringing home a bronze medal. The telecast of the presentation of the NBN St George Sports Star of the Year Award will take place on NBN this coming Saturday night at 8:30.
State emergency workers in the northwest are keeping a close watch on rivers and streams that have begun rising following this week's heavy rain. Major flooding is feared if the heavy rain continues. An SES spokesman says there's just solid drenching rain causing a muddy mess. Numerous local roads have been closed, including the main link between Narrabri and Bingara. However, after a long hot spell, the rain has been a welcome relief for the region's farmers, topping up dams and quenching pastures. Local cotton farmer Peter Leach says although his property has been surrounded by water, he's happy with the heavy rain and says it hasn't affected his crops.
It hasn't done any harm at this stage, but as I say, there is a bit of concern there. If it continues, not like saying it, we don't get excess rain where we get those large falls and we get floods in this river behind us.
Meanwhile, the Weather Bureau predicts the rain will continue throughout the northwest for the next few days. Nicole Webb, NBN News.
Bob Hudson likes to call himself a community activist. The Kilcare retiree behind the court application to remove Tony Sampson from his 2-year post as mayor. Today, Mr Hudson was celebrating Gosford Local Court's approval of his application. It was, he said, a victory for the people.
This has been a community-based effort, and it will now help go a long way to restore their confidence in the local councillors and the election process of mayors in the future.
For the past 3 months, Mr Hudson has alleged that last year's mayoral election, conducted in the absence of 2 councillors, denied basic democratic rights. Late yesterday, Magistrate Gary Cox found there had been irregularities in that election process, granting Mr Hudson's application to have the mayor dismissed. Mr Sansom says he's shattered by the decision.
However, that's not the end of it. We will be launching a very strong appeal to the Supreme Court.
In the meantime, Mr Sansom will remain as Mayor of Gosford Council, pending a decision from the Supreme Court. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
The Hunter Valley already has several power stations. Now it's to get another, this time at Singleton. This station, however, will be privately owned by National Power Australia, an American-based company. It will produce 120 megawatts of electricity, just a fraction of a normal power station. However, price-wise, Energy Australia, its only customer, says it can't be beaten. Redbank will be built near Warkworth Mine, which will supply most of its fuel, a fuel that makes this power station different from any other. Redbank will use Jamieson cell technology developed at Newcastle University. Coal tailings, previously regarded as waste, will become fuel. And that, according to Minister for the Hunter Richard Face, is good news for the valley, with greenhouse gas emissions reduced by some 20%.
Of course, tailings have been a problem since time immemorial with their disposal, having to dam them, and they've also got a source of tailings that are coming out of existing mines, one of them being Warkworth.
Construction of Red Bank is expected to begin during the middle of this year, with 200 people employed during the building phase. After that, 50 people will work at the power station, which will have an expected life of 30 years. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
The rain didn't deter thousands of prospective students at the Hunter Institute of Technology when enrolments opened this afternoon. TAFE spokesman Stephen Jennings says close to 40,000 are expected to enrol.
We're offering over 500 courses, Emma, this semester, so that's across the 16 campuses.
There has been a growing trend towards vocational education, with more people looking to obtain practical workplace skills.
Which means that they offer courses that provide relevant and practical workplace experience. So when a student leaves a Hunter Institute, they go straight into a workplace or a work environment.
The Institute will be open for enrolments again between 1 and 7 p.m. on Monday. Emma Ossian, NBN News.
We're more than just firefighters. We are experts in prevention. We're educators within the community. We're increasingly becoming a very environmental organisation.
If there was any doubt about support for Super League, it was quashed from early this morning. Crowds started arriving at Curry with the opening of the gates, the grandstand near capacity during the lower grade fixtures. The Hunter Mariners played Canterbury in the under-15s, 16s, 17s, 19s and reserves. A couple of losses in the first two games before the under-19s created history, the first team from the club to win in season 97. 36-16, Penrith arrived to see the under-19s try and follow suit, but Canterbury stretched the locals to post the first points of the match. The visitors were too strong early on, but it's the main match against Penrith that will draw the most attention. It kicks off in a few moments. It was the who's who of northern New South Wales' finest athletes, all on hand to find out who'd be the one to join that elite group of award winners. Atlanta Olympians dominated the finalists: softballer Natalie Ward, rower Duncan Free and swimmer Stephen Dewick, to name three, but it was a gold medal hockey player who scooped the pool. It was an amazing 1996 for Shelley. She gave up work and study to concentrate on sport. That decision proved to be the right one, selected for the Olympics, and the rest is now a golden memory. She's been honoured as a semi-finalist in the Young Australian of the Year, has won 2 sporting scholarships in the process, the Sports Star of the Year award, capping off a remarkable 12 months. Fellow Atlanta gold medalist Paralympian Amy Winters was the other big winner of the night. Her outstanding efforts in the United States, which included a world record in the 200 metres, earned her the 1996 NBN St George Special Award. The Newcastle Knights have a brilliant record in sevens football. Already they have 2 titles under their belts. Few can forget that Ashley Gordon field goal after full time in the final of 1991. And of course there's a much more recent memory. The Knights beat everyone in the sevens last year to claim the title again. Newcastle's pace and the individual flair of the Johns brothers were the keys to that success, and selectors have opted for the same approach in 97 by keeping the nucleus of the team together. Matthew Johns is again captain, while brother Andrew will be looking for a repeat performance of his outstanding efforts in 96. He won the player of the tournament. The Knights are in Pool 2 for the World Sevens, joining South Sydney and St George. The first game against the Rabbitohs at 2:10 Saturday afternoon. Jonathan Upton, NBN News.